You know, that one task, that one foundational project.
Hmm.
It's not just something on your to-do list. It's the thing that, if you actually did it, would completely change your career path or, your health.
It's the highest leverage activity you have, the one with the biggest potential return.
Exactly. And here's the dilemma we all seem to face. Despite knowing how incredibly important that task is, every single day you find the time for everything else.
Right. You're suddenly organizing your files or checking email for the 10th time.
Yes. Or you fall down some research rabbit hole on a topic you don't even care about, all while that one major project just sits there. So why? Why does the most important work feel the hardest to even begin?
That's the core question, isn't it? And it's so important to understand this isn't a moral failing. It's not that you lack discipline or willpower.
It feels like it, though.
It does, but what you're really up against is a chemical battle. And it's happening inside your own brain, amplified by, well, the entire modern world. Our ancient reward system, which is really just built for survival, for finding food, staying safe.
The basics.
The basics. That system is now being actively and very skillfully manipulated. And it leaves us in this constant state of restlessness. We're overstimulated and paralyzed when it comes to doing hard things.
Okay, let's unpack that. Let's get into it, because that feeling of paralysis is exactly what we need to break through.
It is.
Today's deep dive is into Thibaut Meurisse's Dopamine Detox, a short guide to remove distractions and get your brain to do hard things. Our mission here is to really understand how this overstimulation is destroying our focus and then pull out a practical 3-step framework you can actually use.
And that's what's so great about this guide. It completely reframes the issue. It's not about trying harder. It's about managing the input, the stimuli that are, messing with your brain's baseline.
The core promise of the book is very direct, isn't it? It's about a strategy to get rid of distractions, overcome that constant restlessness, and start feeling, naturally motivated to do the stuff that actually matters. And the author, Thibaut Meurisse, he's a pretty well-known personal development blogger, founder of whatispersonaldevelopment.org. His background is fascinating. He's French, writes in English, lived in Japan for almost a decade.
You can tell he has this deep personal obsession with self-improvement, with figuring out how to make our brains work better.
Right. And it's important to note this guide is part of his larger productivity series. So he's got books on procrastination and focus, but he positions this detox as the first essential step.
You have to do this first. Because if your internal environment is a mess, if you're constantly agitated, none of the other techniques are going to work. It's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation.
That makes perfect sense. You have to clear the decks first. Now, for you listening, we know you're here to gain knowledge quickly and thoroughly. So, to make sure you never miss out on these kinds of deep dives into the world's best books, we invite you to subscribe to our channel, Audible Books.
It really is the best way to get the core insights without contributing to the same information overload we're about to talk about.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, let's get into the science. Before we can even talk about a detox, we have to fix a huge misconception most people have about the molecule at the center of all this. Let's talk about dopamine.
Yes. If you ask anyone on the street, they'll say, oh, that's the pleasure chemical.
Right. Happiness in a molecule.
And that is the first and most critical myth to bust. Dopamine is absolutely essential, yes, for survival, for reproduction. But its main job is not pleasure.
So if it's not pleasure, what is it doing?
It's the molecule of anticipation. It's the engine of desire. Its evolutionary job is to give you that powerful drive, that urge to go get a potential reward.
So it's the go get it chemical, not the, this is nice chemical.
Precisely. It's what makes you want to get off the couch and look for food. Or in today's world, it's what makes your brain light up when you see that little red notification dot. It's the wanting, not the liking.
That is a huge distinction. So the book stresses this. Dopamine is not a pleasure chemical. Just because something gives you a big dopamine hit doesn't mean you actually enjoy it.
And this is the key to understanding the whole problem. Think about it. If dopamine was about pleasure, then getting the thing you wanted should leave you feeling satisfied, right? Calm.
But it doesn't.
Not at all. What happens after you finally check that notification? Or you finish scrolling through your feed? There's often this feeling of emptiness. You're right back to being restless, looking for the next thing.
He said immediate letdown. The peak is the anticipation, and then nothing.
Exactly. The book makes it clear that no amount of this external stimulation brings lasting fulfillment. All you're doing is feeding the anticipation loop, not the circuits in your brain that are responsible for contentment or actual happiness.
So this constant hunt for the next dopamine spike, from social media, from video games, from news alerts, it's just wearing down our self-control and making us crave more and more.
And the consequence for your big goals is just devastating. If your brain gets used to operating at this high-octane level, always expecting a quick, easy reward,
Then something that requires deep focus, like writing or studying.
it feels impossibly boring, painfully slow. Your brain literally rejects it. And that right there is the fast track to procrastination. We've trained ourselves to need that instant chemical hit.
Which leads us right into the bigger picture, how the modern world is actively designed to hijack our focus. Meurisse calls dopamine the molecule of more.
A very accurate name. And the science behind tolerance explains why it's such a problem.
Okay, break that down. The reinforcing mechanism.
It's terrifyingly simple. The more you trigger dopamine with these easy, accessible things, the more your brain's baseline shifts. It starts to demand a stronger hit just to feel normal.
So you build up a tolerance. You need more and more stimulation to get the same feeling of wanting.
It's the exact same mechanism you see in chemical addictions. Someone using drugs or alcohol needs a higher dose over time to get the initial effect. Well, the same thing is happening with our behaviors. You're feeding your brain hyperstimulation, so now it needs hyperstimulation.
And the author really widens the lens here. It's not just about drugs. He lists a whole spectrum of things that can become behavioral addictions.
Things like gambling, shopping, even constant rumination, getting addicted to the drama of your own thoughts. Video games, obsessive exercise, workaholism.
It's a long list.
And he gives a really powerful self-test. Just ask yourself, is there any activity you can't stay away from for a single day without feeling anxious or agitated? That's a huge red flag that you've become dependent on that stimulation.
And this is where it gets a little cynical, because this isn't happening by accident. It's economics. Our focus has become the most valuable and scarce resource in the world.
Billions. Marketers are spending billions of dollars not just to get your attention, but to keep it. These platforms are not designed to be tools. They're designed to keep you on them for as long as possible.
The book points to the notification system, that little red dot.
A masterstroke of design, from their perspective. It's an engineered trigger. It's designed specifically to create that jolt of anticipation, that dopamine release that makes you stop whatever important thing you were doing.
It's a tiny interruption, but they add up. You lose your focus, you click, you get that tiny hit of anticipation, then the letdown, and then you have to spend all this mental energy trying to get back to your real work.
The time wasted is staggering when you actually calculate it. And the algorithms just pour fuel on the fire. We're not just dealing with websites anymore. These are sophisticated prediction engines.
Like YouTube's recommendations or Amazon suggesting what you should buy next.
They're designed to eliminate the friction of having to think about what you want next. The platform just serves it up. It anticipates your desires.
Which keeps you in that passive state of consumption. You just flow from one thing to the next without making a conscious choice.
And that's what he calls the never-ending loop. 3 hours can disappear in a flash. The internet stops being a tool that you use, and it becomes a system that uses you by hijacking your focus and keeping you restless.
The specific examples are so relatable. Compulsively checking email, monitoring stats, financial, website traffic, anything that's unpredictable is exciting.
And social media, of course. Not really for connection, but for that anticipation of a like or a comment, that little hit of validation.
It's all about chasing that promise, that the next click might be the one that's finally satisfying, even though we know it won't be.
And this loop isn't just digital, it's also incredibly primal. Let's talk about food.
Yes. The drive to find food was our strongest survival mechanism for millennia. We don't have to hunt anymore, but our biology hasn't changed. We still have a powerful response to anticipating rich food, especially sugar and fat together.
That specific combination is like a super stimulus for the brain's reward system. Research shows that pairing is way more powerful than just sugar or fat on its own.
And the food industry knows this all too well. They engineer products for maximum craving, not for nutrition. They add sugar to almost everything processed.
It hits that biological sweet spot and ensures you not only eat more, but that you start craving more almost immediately after you're done.
So we're getting hit from all sides. Digital pings and alerts, and then our physical environment is also full of these hyper-palatable, chemically rewarding foods.
It makes it almost impossible to maintain a calm, focused baseline.
Now, on the addictive power of sugar, the source is careful to present a balanced view. You have someone like Robert Lustig, who argues that sugar is as addictive as nicotine.
But then you have other experts like Tom Sanders who caution against that comparison. He says it's absurd to compare it to hard drugs like heroin because you don't get the same severe, life-threatening withdrawal.
Right, and Dr. Ziti offers a really useful clarification. He says drugs like heroin actually hijack the brain's reward system. They short-circuit it. Sugar, on the other hand, just overactivates our natural existing reward pathways.
So the key takeaway isn't that sugar is literally heroin. It's that the anticipation of sugar and fat is one of our most powerful, hardwired reward loops, and it's being professionally leveraged to keep us in a state of craving.
And all of this
Mm.
constant, easy stimulation, it completely warps our sense of time and effort. It just erodes our ability to think long term.
It does. There's a ton of research on this, but a classic study from Harvard by Dr. Edward Banfield found that the single most important predictor of success in life was something he called long-time perspective.
Which is just the ability to think years into the future when you're making decisions today.
Exactly. And our modern environment actively damages that ability. If your brain is trained to expect an immediate reward for everything, it becomes almost physically painful to pursue a goal that might take months or years to pay off.
You know you should eat the healthy meal for your long-term health, but the donut is right there. The immediate hit always wins.
It creates a total mismatch. And you see this with the pioneers of the tech industry itself. Steve Jobs famously didn't let his own kids use iPads.
And you have former Facebook executives like Chamath Palihapitiya, who are now warning everyone to get off these platforms. He says that super fast feedback loop, the likes, the comments, it literally rewires your brain to demand instant results in all areas of your life.
And that leads to these really distorted beliefs that success should be fast, that it should be easy. You lose appreciation for the slow, often boring, consistent work that's required for anything meaningful.
And the emotional fallout from that is huge. You feel jealous when you see someone else's overnight success online. You feel inadequate because your life isn't moving that fast.
So you jump into this frantic hustle culture, which is really just impatience in disguise, forgetting that real progress comes from consistency.
The book uses Amazon as the perfect counterexample. Founded in 1994, but they didn't have their first profitable year until 2003.
For almost a decade, Bezos reinvested every single dollar. He was building the foundation, playing the long game, while everyone else was chasing short-term profits. That's the mindset that's been eroded.
So to get it back, you have to regain control of your attention. You have to start by eliminating that easy, high-frequency stimulation.
Which brings us right back to procrastination. When your brain is all revved up from checking your phone and then you turn to a blank document, it just seems impossibly dull.
The stimulation wavelength analogy in the book is a great way to think about this.
It really is. Imagine your brain as a radio. After an hour of scrolling TikTok or playing a video game, you're tuned to a very high-frequency, agitated station.
And the work you need to do, say, writing a detailed report, requires a very low-frequency, calm, focused station.
And there's just no overlap between those two frequencies. The gap is enormous. That gap, that chasm you have to cross, is what we experience as procrastination. Your brain literally can't make the jump smoothly.
And to keep you from even trying to make that jump, your mind starts playing tricks on you.
Let's get into those deceptive tactics. The first one is the illusion of control. Trick #1. Returning to work is easy.
Oh yeah, I'll just check this one thing for 5 minutes and then I'll get right back to it. I tell myself that every single day.
We all do. We promise ourselves we're in control. But the reality is, once you start down that high stimulation path, the cognitive cost of switching back is huge. That 5 minutes shatters your focus, and it can take hours to get back into a deep work state, if you get back at all that day.
That one is so insidious. Then there's the second trick, which is about time. Trick #2. You can do it later.
Your mind just assures you that time is infinite. You can always do it tomorrow or next week. There's no urgency.
Which is the perfect recipe for chronic postponement. And then years go by, and you wonder why you haven't achieved your big goals.
It's time you're stealing from your future self. The third trick gets at the very nature of what we're seeking. Trick #3. Excitement is not fulfillment.
This is a big one.
Your mind sells you on the idea that scrolling social media or watching the news is fun or relaxing, but the book draws a really sharp distinction. Excitement is temporary, it's high energy, it's external. Fulfillment is lasting, it's calm, it comes from deep immersion in something meaningful.
And the test is to look back in hindsight. After 3 hours of scrolling, do you feel fulfilled? Did it improve your life?
The answer is almost always no. It was just a fleeting distraction. And that leads to the last one, the big anxiety driver. Trick, #4, you're missing out. FOMO.
The fear of missing out. The feeling that if you don't check your email or the news right now, you'll miss something crucial.
It comes from a scarcity mindset, the idea that opportunities are rare. The book suggests countering this with an abundance mindset. Opportunities are everywhere. Missing one news alert is almost never going to derail your life.
The author's personal example is pretty extreme. He says he barely reads the news and doesn't answer his phone if he doesn't know the number.
Which shows a deep confidence that the focused work he does today will create far more opportunities than any single missed call ever could.
The insight is that you have to believe that missing out on shallow stimulation today allows you to gain deep focus and real opportunities tomorrow.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem pretty thoroughly. Now let's get into the solution. The actual detox strategy.
But first, let's be precise about the term. Dopamine detox is catchy, but it's not scientifically accurate.
Right. The problem isn't that we have too much dopamine. The problem is that our brains have become less sensitive to it. We need more and more external stimulation just to feel motivated.
So the goal of the detox isn't to get rid of dopamine, it's to reduce the overall level of stimulation so our brains can reset to a more natural, more sensitive state.
Exactly. When you do that, the gap between your brain's baseline state and the state required for deep work shrinks. Suddenly, those hard, boring tasks don't seem so intimidating. They become more appealing.
The book outlines 3 different ways to do this.
Yes. From the most intense to the most targeted. The first is the 48-hour complete detox.
And this is the full reset.
It is. You eliminate nearly all external stimulation for 2 full days. No drugs or alcohol, no intense exercise, no internet, no movies, no music, unless it's purely for relaxation. No phone, no social media, no sugar, no video games.
Wow. So what can you do?
You're left with very simple contemplative activities. Walking, journaling, meditating, gentle stretching, reading something non-stimulating. The whole point is to allow yourself to be bored, to sit with it.
Then there's the shorter, less intense 24-hour detox.
Which is easier to start with, but he notes it's less effective because it can take a couple of days for your tolerance to really reset. And finally, there's the partial detox.
Which seems like the most sustainable option for most people.
I think so. You just focus on eliminating the 1 or 2 biggest sources of distraction in your life. For the author, it was YouTube. You identify your main problem area and you cut it out completely.
So no matter which one you choose, the implementation is what matters. Let's go through the 3-step method. Step #1. Identify and categorize.
This is just about being intentional. You literally make 2 lists on a piece of paper. Cans, the allowed activities like your deep work, and can'ts, the things you're avoiding like email and social media. The key is to focus on the few big things that are causing the most damage to your focus.
It's about targeting your willpower where it matters most.
Exactly. And once you know what you're targeting, you move to what I think is the cleverest part of the whole system. Step #2. Add friction.
This is brilliant. It uses our own laziness against our bad habits.
It does. You redesign your environment to make the bad behaviors hard to do and the good behaviors easy.
Okay, give us some practical examples of adding friction.
For your phone, don't just rely on willpower. Turn off notifications. Put it in airplane mode. Better yet, put it in a drawer in another room. The more physical steps you have to take to get to it, the less likely you are to do it.
And for computer distractions.
You use friction-adding browser extensions. Tools like Newsfeed Eradicator that block the feeds on social media, or DFTube that hides all the recommended videos and comments on YouTube. It turns these endless platforms into simple tools you use for a specific purpose.
The book even mentions an extreme example for internet addiction.
Yeah, putting your Wi-Fi router in a locked closet down the hall. The idea is to make the effort required to get distracted so high that your rational brain has time to kick in and say, wait, is this really worth it?
The answer is almost always no. And then you do the opposite for your good habits. You remove all the fiction.
Absolutely. If you want to write in the morning, you don't wait for inspiration. The night before, you open the document on your computer, you set out your notebook, you have everything ready to go. You make it so that starting is the easiest possible thing to do.
And the final piece of the puzzle is timing. Step #3. Start first thing in the morning.
This is non-negotiable. You have to do your simple, low-stimulation routine before your brain gets a chance to get hijacked by your phone or the news. That very first decision you make when you wake up sets the tone for the entire day.
And the routine itself doesn't have to be complicated. Just 10 minutes of meditation or stretching or writing down your goals.
The point is just to establish a calm, intentional state of mind before the chaos of the world gets in.
So once you've done the detox and set up your environment, you have to maintain that momentum. That's all about system design.
And it all starts with planning. Planning reduces stress and decision fatigue. You always know what your most important task is.
The book recommends the 3 to 5 task method. Just list a few key, needle-moving tasks for the day on paper.
And to figure out what's truly needle-moving, he offers 2 great questions. First, if I could only complete one task today, which one would have the biggest impact?
And the second one is even more clarifying. If I could only do one task before taking a month off, what would it be? That really forces you to think about what's foundational.
And you have to connect those daily tasks to your bigger goals. Your daily writing goal should connect to your quarterly goal, which should connect to your 5-year plan. It creates a chain of purpose.
So the formula is simple. Focus plus consistency equals impact.
Now, how do you actually execute? How do you develop that laser-sharp focus? He gives a few key pointers.
First, be at the same place at the same time every day.
Yeah.
Like Stephen King at his desk. It conditions your mind and takes motivation out of the equation.
Second, choose a trigger. A simple ritual like making a cup of tea that signals to your brain that it's time for deep work.
Third, and this is so important, just get started. Momentum is everything. If you can just force yourself to work for 5 minutes, you're much more likely to slip into a state of flow. Action creates motivation, not the other way around.
Fourth, eliminate all distractions, not just your phone. Log out of everything. Close all the tabs. Tell people you're unavailable.
And fifth, work in focus blocks. No more than 45 minutes at a time without a short break. It respects your brain's natural limits.
And to protect those work blocks, you have to understand the difference between open systems and closed systems.
This is a game-changing concept.
Mm.
Open systems are things like your email inbox or a social media feed. They are endless and designed to pull you in a million directions.
Right. And if you start your day by opening an open system, you're toast. Your brain immediately gets agitated, and the gap to deep work becomes massive.
So the strategy is to work in closed systems. A Word document, a specific spreadsheet, tasks that have clear boundaries and no built-in distractions.
Your goal is to start your day in a closed system. Open the work file first. Don't check your email until you've already accomplished something important. That first 5 minutes dictates everything.
Okay, so you have the system in place, but what about when you fail? How do you avoid relapsing into old habits?
First, you have to accept that relapse is going to happen. You're human. The key is not to let it spiral. Don't get into guilt or shame. Just notice it happen and get back to your routine the next day.
You also have to remember, you're in a fight. The world is actively working against your focus. Your attention is worth a lot of money to other people.
But it's also worth a fortune to you. You have to defend it.
And one of the best defensive tools is a contingency plan.
This is where you actually envision your worst-case scenarios. You know your weaknesses. You know you check your phone first thing in the morning, so you write that down, and then you mentally rehearse what you're going to do instead.
So you see yourself reaching for the phone, but instead you visualize yourself taking a deep breath and starting to stretch. You're pre-programming the better response.
Exactly. And the whole point of this system is to build a calmer internal state. A huge part of that is intentionally activating the here and now neurotransmitters.
So this is the chemical counterbalance to that frantic search for dopamine.
Right. We're talking about things like endorphins, oxytocin, and serotonin. These are the chemicals associated with connection, calm, and mood stability. They ground you in the present.
And what are the specific practices that help with that?
Meditation is the big one. Just focusing on your breath. Stretching is another. It physically slows your body and mind down.
Mindfulness in everyday tasks, like really tasting your food instead of scrolling while you eat.
Contemplative walking is a powerful one. Instead of being lost in your thoughts, you focus all your attention on your senses, what you can see, hear, and feel around you.
And of course, deep social interactions, real conversations with people you care about. That's a huge oxytocin booster.
And maybe the hardest one for modern people, practicing boredom, just sitting quietly without any stimulation. It trains your brain to be okay without constant input.
The book also suggests a 30-day challenge. Just commit to your new routine for 1 month to really make those habits stick.
So we've covered a lot. The crisis of focus, the science of dopamine, the corporate hijack of our attention, and a really practical strategy to take back control.
The mission is accomplished. We have the tools to reclaim our own minds.
And it's so important to remember the final reward here. Excitement from all that stimulation is fleeting. True fulfillment comes from deep, sustained immersion in the things that matter to you. That's only possible once you've built that foundation of calm and focus.
The reward isn't just getting more done, it's a sense of inner peace.
Which leads us to our final thought for you this week. Our society is built to reward short-term, instant feedback. But almost everything of lasting value, a great skill, real wealth, a healthy body, requires the exact opposite. It requires delayed gratification and slow, sustained effort.
So we want you to ask yourself this. What specific long-term project, the kind that requires building a foundation over years, not just chasing a quick win, are you currently avoiding, precisely because it doesn't give you that immediate dopamine feedback?
Identify that one important, difficult thing and make it your closed system priority tomorrow morning. Go do the hard thing.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.